All right, welcome back to the Ottawa studios of Inside My Canoe Head. Today, a little fun on a Friday. Hi, I'm Jeff, the Backcountry Paddler. A great conversation, so sit back, grab yourself your favorite beverage. Let's get at it. All right, thanks again for joining us here at Inside My Canoe Head. We are on our episode 270 plus, brought to you by a team of people you'll likely never meet or hear about. Wonderful people here at Inside My Canoe Head and our parent company, Preparedness Labs Incorporated. Drop over. We got a website for both, preparednesslabs.ca, insidemycanoehead.ca. Lots of stuff. Drop by, visit us. Download the free stuff, sign up for the free newsletter, whatever floats your boat. But the only thing that we ask really for any listener of this podcast is that you spread the word. There's no advertisement on this podcast. We don't do brand sponsorships. We're simply here to provide great preparedness information, life coaching, life mentoring information, strategy-based information, but most of all, non-apocalyptic, rational preparedness stuff for normal people who simply want to rock an incredible life, chase their dreams, but understand that not by choice, but by happenstance, they happen to live in a chaotic decade of the 2020s. So this week, I want to talk about the fact that, hi, I'm Jeff, the Backcountry Paddler. And today I had an opportunity to go to a little presentation by somebody. It's based on an open question forum about somebody in the recruitment industry talking about labor market trends, because this was a veterans group, right? Everybody knows, if you listen to this podcast, I'm a veteran transitioning to a new life. When you retire and become the title of a veteran, you're generally, for the most part, not done work. You're just now starting a second career. For some of us in our late 40s, early 50s, or even late 50s, that's a bit of a culture shock when you've been within a well-organized society such as the military for decades, and you jump out 2 feet into the world around you, and you have no idea what all of these people are trying to do, and why is society organized the way it is. So going to these little veteran-powered groups, as I like to refer to them, that help veterans exposed to a different thing. They bring in different speakers. This, not the podcast, but this was proudly supported by Starbucks, which, if you don't know, is an organization, a company that spends a lot of time and effort supporting veterans movements around the United States of America and Canada. Here it's called Coffee with a Veteran. It happens once a month in most Canadian cities, where they put off part of the restaurant. They put up big signs. They let us try new things. They give us a space to gather and a nice safe space to talk amongst ourselves, to network, whatever. Great person came today, no name, no pack drill, but it was a really interesting perspective. And something the gentleman said hooked with me is, who are you and how do you define yourself? And a lot of the times we have in society, people will use positions and titles, right? If I ask you who you are and what you do you say, hi, my name is Jeff, I'm the paddler? Or do you say, hi, my name is Dr. Jeff Donaldson, principal researcher at Preparedness Labs Incorporated and associate faculty at Royal Roads University? Like, what comes out of your mouth? When I was in the military, I was culturally trained and expected to say, what's your name? And the answer to that was Major Donaldson, and then the title I was positioning at the time, or whatever position I was filling at the time. That's who I was. That was my identity within the organization. But was it the identity I would choose? If I was given the cultural freedom within that environment to respond to somebody saying, who are you and what do you do? My name would be Jeff, and right now I'm working on supply chain management. We're trying to create agile systems within a lean environment. That's wonderful, right? People would find that exciting. Not too many, let's be honest. But seriously, it would be defining myself more in a way that I fit into how I would like to say it to people, but not how I'm culturally required to do it. So I wrote a fun piece on LinkedIn, popped it up there. It's just a fun Friday thing that said, hey, how do you define yourself? How do you say, this is me, I fall into this? Do you let your position define you? And if you define yourself as a position, why do you do that? Do you think you do it because it's a position of authority and you worked really hard to gain it and you're proud of your accomplishments. And the fact that you have this title demonstrates your capability, your skill, and your accomplishment, or at least your way to persuade yourself into the job. One does not always mean the other, but why do you associate yourself with the title you have? Why is it important that people understand your title and understand your position? Now, before you get twisted sideways, I understand that positional authority in hierarchical organizations or organizations that execute legislative or regulatory authority requires people to be anointed and fill certain positions. Fair enough, right? When you're the base commander at CFB whatever here in Canada, Canadian Forces Base, you have certain authorities assigned to that job in law that cannot be delegated to any other human being. Some of them are weird. It's in statutes. It's not up to you to determine whether you like it or not. You have certain roles of responsibility. You worked an incredibly hard and tough career to get to the point where somebody's going to call you base commander. Or in the diplomatic service, you worked a long time before somebody calls you ambassador. Or you worked a long time before somebody calls you the CFO or the CIO or the COO of a reasonably large organization, right? You put the time and effort in, so you earned that title. You want everybody to know you're there. Is that because you're afraid of standing on your skills and capabilities? Or is it because you need that title to execute your role as a leader and you don't generate confidence and commitment from your subordinates? You do it through a power and authority perspective. Not accusing anybody of anything, but I think it's a really interesting reflection on a Friday or whenever you're listening to this to think about when you introduce yourself or when somebody asks you and introduce themselves. They come up, say, hi, I'm Jim Thompson. I'm the director of programming at Allen Solutions. And you are? How do you respond to that? Is it environment specific? Is it location specific? Is it circumstance specific? Is it depends on who the target I'm talking to is? Or do you say, hey, yeah, my name is... yeah, that's fantastic. My name is Jeff. I'm a backcountry paddler. I got a bunch of other titles that are important if you need to know them, but my real passion in life is a backcountry paddler. What do you do for excitement, right? You take the person right off of their, hi, look at me, look at my really cool title, look at my authority, and now the conversation, wherever it goes from there, I've had the successful operation of framing that in the sense that I am the leader, I am the king, I am the alpha male. And I wrote in my blog whether, there's some research that has gone into this to understand why. And now there is in the organizational anthropological literature, there's a lot of good work done in the area of the fact that there is a hierarchical tenet to tribal societies, whether in the animal kingdom, in our general animals, or in the human animal kingdom. There is actually a hierarchical chart, and it's necessary, right? When you look at a wolf pack, there's an alpha. There's only one alpha, and and the same with the lion's pride. They fight for it, right? And they'll fight to the death to figure out and take over that position. It's common competition. When you get that position, there's certain things that go along with it, but you have to fight your way you get there, and you have to fight to stay in it. It's a title that matters. So anthropologically, we are bred, and we have in our generational DNA the propensity to want to succeed and climb the ladder. That's normal. That's there. But in a modern progressive culture, as we see emerging now, is there more towards my desire to look better and more important than you? To show that, say, for example, you and I began in an organization at the same time. The colloquial, we all started in the mailroom, and now you've been promoted faster and greater than I have. You've assumed a higher role, and you want to periodically remind me of the fact that you have won the lottery and gotten a broom closet office somewhere when I'm still in a cubicle. And now I bring this up because in 2020, when I started the parent company of Preparedness Labs Incorporated and began the incorporation and the formalization of educational products in the preparedness space, at the time I was a solopreneur. It was just me, right? Start a company, you're starting out, you're trying to do new things, you're trying to create new products, you're trying to answer problems or address problems or pains that people are having in society and think of innovative new solutions that they will find valuable, and they will trade you money for time or whatever it may be to buy those, right? The basic entrepreneurial capitalistic adventure that is always tied to helping society and making it a better place. What's my title? Well, legally in Canada where I am, and it's probably similar wherever jurisdiction you're listening to the podcast is, I'm a director, right? That's my title. Under the law, I'm a director. I can anoint myself chief bottle washer, chief whiff, chief entertainment officer, bottom dwelling scum sucker. Like, I can call myself anything under my name title that I want because I own the company and I can switch anything up that I want to. In fact, I called myself principal researcher because at the time when you say principal researcher, both words connotate something, right? They mean something to somebody. Principal means there are others. So if I say I'm principal researcher, that means there are other researchers. That means I own a company that has a whole bunch of people in it, and I must be really good and really important. The second word is researcher. Now, researcher conveys to most people a message or an identity that says this individual follows evidence. This individual tries to answer questions and likes to find the reasons why things are what they are. So I'm the head of a bunch of people who think really hard. Really, that's what the word principal researcher. Now, anybody can be a CEO. You can start a company for $200 in Canada. Happy to show you how to do that. And call yourself a CEO and then put yourself on a CEO list somewhere and say, I want to be part of the CEOs, even the ones running, multi-million-dollar companies. They're a CEO. You can call yourself a CFO. You can call yourself whatever you want, right? So I chose that title. I'm going to change it soon because I think it's worn its time out, and it's time for a bit of rebranding and reinventing, right? So fair enough. I can change that anytime, but legally I'm called a director. But when I introduce myself, and I wrote this in the blog, and I think it's pretty funny, how do I want to introduce myself when I meet somebody new? So I don't work for anybody else. I own the company. I'm an entrepreneur, which means I can do whatever the heck I want. In the same frame that Elon Musk can call himself whatever he wants and do whatever he wants, if you are a majority shareholder in a private corporation or a public corporation, well, public, you're far more restricted. But in a private corporation, you're the main shareholder, and you're the only director of a board of directors. You can do pretty much what you want and call yourself whatever. Why do you choose a certain title? Why do you choose a label? If you had to label yourself, and I think this is an exercise that's very, very valuable for anybody right now. If you were to do that introduction, if you were to walk up, grip and grin, right? You always remember you grip somebody in their hand, fist pump, whatever it is, you do it with intent and purpose. You look the person right in the eyes and you announce who you are. How do you do that? What do you want to say versus what you're trained to say, or what you're ordered to say, or what you're required to say? What is that? Are you Tom, the chief of police, or are you Tom, the minor baseball coach? Like, to some people, that is a choice. One is more important than the other, and I'll let you figure out in your world which one of those would be more important. But how do you define that? And I'm not even touching the mom and dad and uncle and grandpa and grandma titles that are by far the best. The best title I've ever had in my life was dad. But let's be honest. We're setting those familial ones aside. We're talking about in a reasonably professional environment, when you meet somebody new, do you introduce yourself as the role you fulfill on a professional basis, or do you do it as a coach? Do you do it as a paddler? Hi, I'm Jeff, the Backcountry paddler. How you doing? Great to meet you. What's your passion? I like to do that whenever I can. Now, it doesn't always work in all situations, but I like to say, hi, I'm Jeff, Backcountry paddler. What's your passion? Right? Because their title, I'm Dr. So-and-so, the head of anesthesiology for Johns Hopkins University. All that's great. I'm a backcountry paddler. What's your passion? right? It's about changing the conversation about something other than your position versus mine, the hierarchical struggle, or as I like to say, you know what? If I have to tell you I'm a major and I'm sitting there in uniform, what's the point? Because you obviously can't read rank. If I have to reinforce the fact and tell you that I'm a major and you're below the rank of major, if you're a captain, lieutenant, second lieutenant, officer, cadet, or any one of the non-commissioned members, then if I'm looking at you calling myself major, wearing a major's uniform, that might be a little bit of, haha, look at me, I'm better or bigger than you. And I've seen far too much of that in my military time. Some of it might just be by culturally standard, right? What do you call yourself? How do you identify yourself when it comes to a professional standard? What would be that introductory look like for you? And sometimes people carve out identities, and I think this is really cool. I have to date myself. About 10 years ago, I went to a disaster conference in Toronto, Ontario, and there was a guy there in bright, colorful pants. Now, I mean the kind of pants that 1 in 1,000 people in the room would wear, and probably not anybody intentionally. He wore it to every conference, right? He was the guy with the loud clothes. The guy with the loud clothes was an IT genius on the cutting edge technology, but he didn't introduce himself as that. He was the guy with the colored pants, right? He was the guy talking about the latest and greatest tech from this identity that they had created, right? Fabulous idea, wonderful way of branding. I stick out from everybody else in the room. I look like nobody, and here I am. So people would associate eventually his IT knowledge, his skill sets, etc., with that position. But it was an area of branding, right? Individual brands matter in today. And there's always a struggle for individuals when they're putting themselves out there on the internet, when you're creating a LinkedIn profile or you're creating a social media profile, and you want to not just send cat videos, but you actually want to become an influencer. And I say that honestly. When I mean influencer, I don't mean a teenager who dances. I mean somebody who is going to associate the word with them, right? So it's like SEO, search engine optimization, right? Like, for example, my company works in the preparedness space, right? So I work SEO so that I am in the top conversation or the top Google hits or the top Bing hits. Nobody uses Bing anymore. The top Google hits in the words preparedness, right? That's really what I'm after on my SEO. So I want to create all of the social structures that I have on my social media sites and my websites, on my LinkedIn profile and everything else, so that my SEO drives preparedness. So when somebody searches for the keyword of preparedness, I'm going to be on the first or second page. Not because I'm paying Google for the ad space to get there, because anybody can. If you've got money, you can pay Google to be on the first page in your area every time somebody types a keyword. It's really that simple. If you've got money, it's the greatest way to advertise. People say that Google ads is the simplest, right? It's just a question of money. I don't know what the return on ad spent, the ROAS, is on Google ads in an area for service industries, but there's some people that swear by it. There is a friend of the family, and she is a boudoir photographer. And she's simply boudoir photography within 50 kilometers of where she lives. She pays Google to be on the front page of every search. I don't know what the money is. I didn't inquire. It's none of my business. She pays that every month. And that ad spend alone generates her entire income. Other than word of mouth, which is very important, obviously, it generated. So it's about, what does she call herself? She's a boudoir photographer. Right? She's not the CEO of her company. She's not the CFIO. She's a boudoir. It represents what she does. It makes sense in her world. So if you're the fire chief of a town and you're representing the fire department, well, of course you're the fire chief. That's not the intent of the conversation today. The intent is, how would you define yourself when you have an opportunity to introduce yourself, right? What do you want people to know about you? Because this individual talking about recruitment today at our presentation was quite interesting when he's saying, the research is clear, the evidence is clear. Companies hire people they like, not necessarily the most qualified, right? Because they have a culture, they have a team, they have an organization, they're up and running, they're achieving goals, they're working hard together, they're trying to do things. What they don't want is somebody who's got fantastic qualifications but can't fit into the vibe, the hustle, the ideology, the frame, the culture. I use culture because it's true. So many people look at it through a negative lens, but positive company culture is a fantastic thing. And if applicant A has every qualification in the world and is ideal, but is a stone social fool, you're not going to hire them because it's just going to cause social conflict, which can cost you far more than the difference of the skill set between A and applicant B, who has a lower set of skills, but is a fantastic and agreeable human being that'll fit wonderfully within the team, right? That's what companies do, right? They do it. It doesn't matter whether you like it. Nobody actually cares what you like. That's who they hire. So how do you describe yourself? So when you're on your CV, is it just full of titles and degrees, right? I got 3 degrees. I've had almost every title you can imagine under the wazoo. But who am I? Like when it gets down to ticker, who am I? What adversity have I gone through? Well, I'm a veteran, so I've probably dealt with a couple of dumb people along the way and some pretty stressful situations. I'm a backcountry paddler, right? I like to go. Most of my trips are alone. I just got back one from northern Saskatchewan with a bunch of fantastic human beings on the Churchill River. Shout out to Churchill River Canoe Outfitters, fantastic group of people. We were up there paddling in some pretty adverse conditions, paddling into the wind and rain for 3 days, the first 3 days, in plus 3 or 4 degrees Celsius temperature. I flipped the canoe upside down and that. All kinds of wonderful things happen. But when you're a backcountry paddler, you go out beyond cell service, self-sustaining, self-reliant. And the vast majority of trips that I love to go on are solo, right? I like to go into the backcountry for 3, 4, 5 days on my own, no other humans around, nobody to rescue me, just me, my kit and equipment, sitting by a campfire way back in the bush, kilometers from the closest human. That I love it, right? That portrays a certain set of skills, capability, managing stress, things along the line that are very, very helpful in a corporate environment. So you may not think me coming across as a backcountry paddler is a very smart thing to do. But when I come across as a backcountry paddler, I'm probably already in the meeting where I wouldn't get in this meeting if I didn't have a certain set of qualifications, right? Like I've got a series of titles. Google me. Look up my LinkedIn. Look up my social media profiles across Preparedness Labs. Everything's there, right? You go to my LinkedIn profile, it tells you everything about me, what I do, and who I am, and the organizations that I belong to, and the positions that I hold, and the volunteer board positions, all that other stuff. What it doesn't tell you very well, and what I'm working on right now from great advice the gentleman gave today, was to work out your social side, to work out your social profile. What I would tell people if positional analysis didn't matter in the conversation, what would I tell human beings about who I am and what I do? What am I passionate about? And I'll end on this. Today, or 2 days ago, 2 days ago, at another veteran, so we had 2 in 1 week, it was awesome, another veterans event, over 200 people here in Ottawa, I got the opportunity to talk to a young man who's thinking about doing a PhD, right? He's getting close to the end of his master's degree. He's not sure what to do next. And I said, the next 5 years are going to go by anyhow, so you might as well finish him with a PhD. And somebody would say, well, why you bother doing that? I said, well, it doesn't go away. If you're interested in it, that's fine. It opens a bunch of doors when you got those letters in the right environment. But I said to him, if you don't do something every day that gets you to swing your legs out of bed in the morning, when you wake up in the morning and you're not swinging your legs out of bed, you can't wait to get after it because this is an incredible opportunity, then you're missing a whole bunch in life. And I say this to people in my one-to-one mentoring business. You can sign up for it at Preparedness Labs Incorporated. When I sit down with people and I talk about life's challenges and strategies and ways to figure it out and navigate your way through all of that, part of the thing is you're going to put so much time and effort into the professional side of your life because that's what we do. That's how we earn an income. and part of what we talked about today, that's how we earn an identity. You best be doing something that swings your legs out of bed in the morning, that you're passionate about, that you're excited about, and it's worthwhile, something that fires up. When I did supply chain management in the Army, I used to love a well-organized warehouse. I would get all excited when I went inside a well-organized, well-labeled, well-structured, well-run warehouse, right? Absolutely incredible. The 97% of you listening to this are just going to think that is up the wazoo and wacko, right? It's crazy. It's a warehouse. It's just stuff on the shelf. Some of us, that's incredible, right? So it doesn't matter what other people think is great. It doesn't matter what other people think is important. It's important to you, and you get excited about it. Imagine if you could do that for a living. It's like several people have said, if you can find out what you're passionate about and get paid to do that. And if you do that, you'll never work a day in your life. I'll roll this back to link to what we started today's conversation with. Is that how you would open your conversation? Is that how you would introduce yourself to somebody new? Would it be, hi, I'm Jeff, the Backcountry Paddler. Listen, I'm working on a couple of great projects and trips we're going to do this fall. What are you up to? What do you do for excitement? That changes the whole thing, because somebody might be ready to say, well, I'm on this project, I'm on this team and this board. Oh, excitement. I don't know. I'm so busy at work, I don't have time for excitement. Oh, that's unfortunate. Listen, I got a couple of books here that I publish if you're interested in knowing how to do that. And all of a sudden people are like, you're in the room. You already worked your way into the room that's full of high-priced, high-powered individuals, and you're introducing yourself as a backcountry paddler. You're either nuts or you've got something figured out. And on this Friday afternoon or evening, or whenever you're listening to it, I'm going to let you answer that question. I'm either nuts or I've figured something really interested out. So thank you very much for joining us once again here at Inside My Canoe Head. Please take the time to drop us a line at jeff@preparednesslabs.ca. I periodically get some great thumbs up and some thumbs down from individuals who find interesting what the podcast is about, think I'm deviating too far away from preparedness, think I'm spending too much time on preparedness, think I'm not detailed enough, far too detailed. Whatever it may be, your feedback matters, because we can swing fire and adjust, to use military terminology. And again, if you do anything else, tell somebody else about the podcast. This thing is free. I don't get paid for it whatsoever. It costs me money to put up. There's no ad. There's no return on investment here. This is my project to bring to you the best possible preparedness, life managing, life coaching, mentoring, and strategic thinking ideas that are going to get you to rock an incredible life, chase your dreams, all while wrapped in a blanket of insulation. Thank you very much. Take care and stay safe.